Yeah, so I'm the executive director of NC 100. We were working on a project with the Conservation Fund, our nonprofit. It was really thinking about how could we get our community and our young folks involved and learn a little bit more about the land. Maybe we could bring community members together. So we set up a community garden, and we're trying to get that all straight. And we're lucky enough to be able to connect with the Cooperative Extension and other people in the community. So we're setting it up.
So we really are focusing on having a holistic lifestyle, eating healthy fruits and vegetables.
What happens is that the block sees the benefit of the NC 100, and what we said is, how can we work with Too Much TV? How can we work with KMT Heat and Air Conditioning? How can we work with Pro Consulting? You know, how can we work with Larry Price Artistic Design? You know, and how can we come up, you know, with the NC 100, and then we form a collaborative, such that the cash flow is sustainable. We offer value to the community. That's right. And then through you, we reach out to what's the sister's name?
This is the Last Dons organization.
The Last Dons organization, and we say, based on these successes that we have, we want to take what we've already proven to be a model,
and
give it to you as a seed,
to your ministry,
and then you sow the seed that we already know what the type of fruit that the seed is going to yield.
Exactly. You know? Perfect marriage.
And that's our game plan.
I am a five-star ambassador.
I am a five-star ambassador.
I represent myself.
I represent myself.
Louder. My family.
My family.
My community.
My community.
My school.
My school.
And my race.
And my race.
With pride, dignity, and excellence.
With pride, dignity, and excellence.
I am an achiever.
No, one more time. I
am an achiever.
All right, awesome. Peace out.
To show and to raise money for a good cause, to get rid of senseless violence. And Heavenly Father, we also want to thank you for keeping Desmond in your hands, as he will always be in our hearts. Amen.
Well, he was supposed to be our brother this season. He was supposed to, I just knew of his skill. I just knew that he was supposed to be coming to Mass Ground Rule. You know, the coach had so much great things to say about Desmond as a player, as a teammate, how hard he was ready for this season, and the things that he wanted to accomplish this season coming into this year.
And that's the only thing he really ever talked about was basketball, and just how he can't wait to start playing, and how he's ready to get away from Raleigh and just start playing. We built a chemistry with each other, and then see that I got the news that I wasn't gonna be able to play with him, kind of messed me up a little bit.
Originally I thought I was going to possibly be a math teacher, and so I was going towards mathematics, and sophomore year I had a math class that I did very poorly in and realized that was not the area I wanted to go in, and so I ended up majoring in meteorology, which is totally different from what I actually do in real life. However, when I was in college, I worked part-time for the State Police Credit Union in operations. I had a friend of mine who was able to help me to get a job there. And before I graduated, 2 months before I graduated, I had my boss at that time handed me a job application and said, "Here, fill this out." So I ended up having a job waiting on me as soon as I graduated. So I went from operations to a loan officer in Roxborough, worked there 5 years, and I was promoted to a branch manager in Yanceyville for 10 years. So I managed my hometown for 10 years before taking a bigger branch over here in Reedsville.
Well, here we are at
Teen Center in Reidsville, North Carolina, getting ready to plant a community garden. Today we're going to talk about some of the important steps before the garden can start to grow.
I'm the Family Consumer Science Agent of Rockingham County Cooperative Extension. I focus on health, nutrition, food safety, and fitness. So really we're focusing on having a holistic lifestyle, eating healthy fruits and vegetables, healthy diets, and also getting more physically active. Well, the importance to me is understanding first off where your food is coming from. So it's great to kind of get people to recognize that food doesn't just pop up in grocery stores. A lot of people kind of disconnect from farm to table. They just understand that the food ends up in the grocery store, ends up on their tables. But it's a good idea to understand like what effort goes in, what kind of effort goes into growing your food.
So a lot of people are just a little bit intimidated by the idea of growing plants. They haven't been taught how. They don't think they have enough room where they're living. And so we're having a community garden where they can help each other and meet and grow together, as well as space to plant, is really good.
3, 2, 1, rolling. Can you tell me how you got connected with the Block campaign?
Yeah, so I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I've always felt like being connected to like this statewide center of resources and programs that I can bring back the best pieces of to Rockingham County to support the rural areas has been super important. So while I'm in Raleigh and spend a lot of time being in the Durham business community, I have been really active in supporting cooperatives that support equitable purchasing, and I got a chance to meet the deal flow manager for the Block campaign, Dr. Alan Nubia, and we got to talking a little bit about having ownership of our futures. I was really interested in having the tenets of that program that really is about ownership and teaching be pieces of the NC 100 program. So we just kind of gravitated to each other. We started to build, we built these networks with other organizations within Raleigh.
Today we're going to talk about some of the important steps before the garden can start to grow.
Can you tell me how you got connected with the Block campaign?
Yeah, so I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I've always felt like being connected to like this statewide center of resources and programs that I can bring back the best pieces of to Rockingham County to support the rural areas has been super important. So while I'm in Raleigh and spend a lot of time being in the Durham business community, I have been really active in supporting cooperatives that support equitable purchasing, and I got a chance to meet the deal flow manager for the Block campaign, Dr. Alan Nubia, and we got to talking a little bit about having ownership of our futures. I was really interested in having the tenets of that program that really is about ownership and teaching be pieces of the NC 100 program. So we just kind of gravitated to each other. We started to build, we built these networks with other organizations within Raleigh.
Networking is very important. That's how it started my career, staying in contact with close friends from high school. Right now I work for Train Heating and Air. My role there is the Director of Human Resources. I was in the 7th grade. I had my eyes focused on that goal, but went to UNCG. I got out, I realized how expensive law school would be, and worked for a couple of years while I did that, and started to network with some of the senior leaders, and found this world called Human Resources, and went to North Carolina A&T, received my master's degree in Human Resources. Actually got my first HR role from a former Reidsville High School student.
First off, you want to pick a site that has at least 8 hours of sunlight. That's what we've picked here behind us. And we also want to have wind protection. So this wonderful tarp that's hanging here is going to give us wind protection. The fence is also important to keep out wildlife like deer. They're a real problem with gardens. Once we've picked the site, prepare the area, and one of the things we're doing here is we're doing raised beds. So the first thing that was done was put down some black landscape fabric on top of the grass. Then on top of that was made the red raised beds, and soil was put inside of there. The next step was to add lime to try and raise the pH. Most of our crops like a pH of about 6. To make sure we've done this correctly, we're going to do a soil test. Soil tests in North Carolina are free from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. How we're going to do this is we're going to take a bucket. Needs to be plastic. Metal buckets don't work. They mess up your soil test. So we're going to have a bucket. Then we take a clean trowel. It's very important the trowel be clean. So this one was cleaned with 10% Lysol. And then we're going to get subsamples. So this one's going to be real easy to do because we have a variety of raised beds. So Jordan's going to get a sample 8 inches deep from each one of the raised beds. The idea is to get a uniform sample, so we're going to get that, pour it in the box, and take that to NCDA. While he's doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit about water, because water is one of our biggest problems with community gardens. People like to water, so when we have lots of volunteers, they tend to overwater. So it's important to know how much water the garden's getting, so we have a rain gauge. We're going to put it in one of the beds. What we're aiming for is 1 inch of water a week. That includes rainfall as well as when volunteers water. Again, we tend to overwater. When people water, it's good to water at first with a watering can. You want to sprinkle on the seedlings of new plants. But once the plants start to grow, then you would like to water from the base and not get the plants wet. The plants getting wet repeatedly causes fungal diseases to grow. Another step that's important in a community garden is to know what plants are in each bed, so people don't weed and pull out plants that we're trying to grow. So we get garden stakes and we write what's in each garden. We have a map so we know what's in each one. So this is our soil. It's very rich in organic matter. We've added compost and different things. I like it because it's light and fluffy. It's not solid red clay. That's a lot of our typical soils here. So once the soil sample is full, you just follow the directions, close 1, close 2, and seal it like this. And then we take it to NCDA. Soil samples can be brought to any of the cooperative extension offices in the state of North Carolina. Do you want to take the rain gauge next?
Yeah.
Go put this in. Again, we're trying for 1 inch of rain a week. Volunteers tend to overwater because that's a fun activity, especially in the heat. Good to involve all your volunteers. So the volunteers are now putting all the stakes in the beds. They're getting their beds labeled so all the volunteers will know. Jordan put the rain gauge in one of them already. Yep, so the rain gauge is out there. The next thing we're going to talk about, planting. People always want to plant. One of the fast ways to do it is to buy transplants. Some crops, that's a much easier way to do it than to start from seeds. It's very important that you buy plants that look healthy, that are weed-free, that are labeled, and for each one, there should be a hole in the bottom so the roots can come out. And you want to make sure the roots are healthy, so you pull them out. You squeeze the bottom, you turn it over. It's very important that they not be brown, they be white. Okay? The other step is to start seeds yourself. It's very important to make sure you have this year's seeds. All seed packages have a date on the back. This says 2020. This is this year's seeds. You can use old seeds. How it works is the larger the seed, the longer you can store them. They should be stored in a cold, dry area like a freezer. Get a very soft, aerated, dry seed starting mix. Okay? Not something heavy. The difference is a seed starting mix versus a potting mix. You want a seed starting mix. Again, you're going to put your seeds in a container that has holes in it, your seed mix. You're going to label them and you're going to plant them. So these were old seeds, so I planted them heavy. The next important step is to thin them. We thin seedlings with scissors. We do not pull them out. So I'm going to cut all these out right at the soil line. Instead of pulling out to get my desired amount. You do the same thing in a bed. When we plant in the beds, we use a ruler to try and get the right spacing between plants, but even then, we thin them with scissors. In the beds. Okay. These are collards. I waited till they got pretty good size, made sure they all survived, and at this stage I would cut them out as well. Not pull them. Some seeds, like these cucumber seeds, are a good size. very easy to plant. Parsley seeds, you can see how small they are. One of the best ways to seed them is to soak them in water for 24 hours and then get a dropper, and you would suck up the seeds, and then I can control how many seeds and where I put them. That's how we prepare seeds. Once you planted them, then it's important to mist them, so we get a spray bottle with a mister and try and keep them wet. Again, we don't want to drown them. We don't want to put water in the bottom of the tray. All the pots have to have holes. The water needs to come out. Okay, are we ready to plant?
So I came out here to provide our service of our landscaping business to the teen center.
One of the skill sets that we try to implement at the Achievers is having them to understand, why should I have to download an app when I can create my own applications? Why do I have to wait for someone to tell my story when I can tell my own story through the podcast? Why is it that I have to wait for someone to give me permission to enter the door when the door is not even closed?
Started working for my dad in commercial refrigeration, and quickly realized that that was a really tough job and really difficult. So it was a good reason to go to school and to college, and wanted to get in the finance area of school. Started at a bank in the teller range, and was kind of a temporary job. Took it while I was going to go to graduate school. Realized that banking was something I really enjoyed and liked, loved helping people. Got involved in different aspects of banking, and ever since been involved in the banking area. Now I work for Self Help Credit Union, which is a nonprofit credit union, and we really serve those folks that can't get a traditional bank account, those folks that can't get traditional loans or traditional lending. So
now we're actually going to show you how to plant. Here's Jordan, and he's going to level out the bed. We're using a rake, a stone rake, to try and make sure there's not any little low spots. That's important, again, so that plants don't drown. We want it to be as level as possible. It also, if you can see, it's loosening up the soil, making it really fine for planting. Once Jordan's finished with that, we're going to put down the tape measure so that we can make sure we plant our plants far enough apart. Okay, so we're going to lay it down. Got it, Jordan? Okay, so we're aiming for 12 inches apart. So we're going to start at 6 inches and then plant them out. On these kind of plants, we're planting in rows, so we'll use a hoe to make our actual row next to our tape measure. Okay, so we have nice loose soil, and we have the trench we're going to plant into. Then we're going to take out the plants. The next step is going to be to cover them up, and it's really important that you cover up the entire root ball so you don't get wicking. You need to cover it up all the way, and then you water it immediately after planting. for a second. Okay, so if you see low spots at this stage, you level it out. Okay, then we're going to go over a row and do another 12 inches and continue that throughout the bed. Get the purple ones. Got it? All right. Just want to put one in.
From Dope to Hope, each one teach one lawn service. Michael Harris. So I came out here to provide our service of our landscaping business to the teen center, and with the NC 100, partner with them to get back into the community of Rockingham County, helping young men to be fishermen. Not to give them a fish and then they can just eat that day, but give them the skills to how to fish and they can provide for their family for the rest of their life. So that's what my skills that we have to provide from Each One Teach One, and from Dope to Hope is to provide tools to our youth to keep them out the streets, to keep them out of trouble and to point them in the right direction, that they don't have to go down the road that I went down for doing a little time, but that didn't define or dictate who I was. I used that to motivate me to create my own vision and dreams. And that's running a landscaping business and a nonprofit from Dope to Hope, where I mentor young men from all age groups. I coach Little League football for the Reeves Bulldogs, and I play semi-pro football, so I'm very active in the community.
I helped plant the radishes and the carrots. That entailed digging the hole, putting the seeds in, and then covering it back up, and then watering it after you labeled the plants.
So today we set up kale, some root crops, broccoli, greens. We're gonna try to grow collards. In a few months we'll be able to grow strawberries. We have herbs, so a nice little variety of stuff that people in the community suggested to us to try. Really want to appreciate a few folks for being out here. So the Cooperative Extension, we have my man Mike Harris that you guys enjoyed. Portia Paris, 100%. So a lot of people that know about the Teen Center, Portia Paris is the lifeblood of the Teen Center. She also does a lot of work with the YMCA in partnership with NC 100. We're just glad that we had like a great group of people out here today, and hope that this community garden is one of many throughout Rockingham County.